Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, as I said, I was going to do something a bit different because my background is more related to robotics, and with the time being, I didn't have much, I didn't manage to do anything more complex. But yeah, I wanted to think about a bit more about robots in the habitat in general. So how robots can help, because it's since I was a kid, I always loved robots, and now that I have the chance to to combine both of them, both of the domains, is pretty cool. So I wanted to start just saying how the first when the first use of the robot of the word robot was done. So it happened in 1920 in a science fiction play done by the Czech writer Karel Čapek, I think, and it was in a science fiction play called RUR, which is Rosumovi Universal Robots. So they created some type of artificial life there that was intended to help humans and to help the people, to help them with the work and the everyday tasks and everything. This was the general purpose, and they use this word robot. And as far as I remember, because I haven't seen it, but I have seen it in some conferences, it ended bad because at some point the designers tried to introduce feelings to the robots, and once the robots had some kind of feelings, they started feeling bad because they were working as slaves to the humans, and they at that point they revolt against the human race. So it, it ended a bit bad. But well, in general, the concept, I suppose, of robots, the thing that we think about it is from the movies. So whenever we see things in the movies, this is the relationship we do. Of course, many people think about Terminator and all the bad things that can happen in this case, but there are some nice movies as well. For example, that I like a lot, like Wall-E, which is also space exploration, right? We have Chappie, which is a quite nice movie as well, that it portrays a bit different point of view of robots and humans, or iRobot, I think, which is kind of quite interesting. But this is a bit more on the science fiction, and unfortunately we use this kind of methods to portray how robots are in society, but they're kind of different. So in the modern world, we have a different types. So the first one that comes into my mind, and maybe some of the people, are the industrial robots. So they are quite rigid, and they are meant to do only one task quite fast and quite precise, and they improve a lot of the quality of our lives since the industrial revolution. But we have other types of robots, for example, social ones. This is a robot made in the Italian Institute of Technology, and it's in the shape of a humanoid robot, and it's meant to interact with people. But of course, there are other types going into the domain of space. We have, for example, the Canada arm that is meant to help and get objects and help the astronauts to reduce their cognitive load. And of course, we have tons of rovers that are meant to explore Mars or the moon, or hopefully in the future different planets. So just a bit about the definition, what it is. So I will not get into very specific scientific details about robots, but because there are tons of definitions, and each researcher thinks about different way, but basically it should sense. So it should sense its environment. It should be able to perceive the environment around the robot using some kind of sensors. It should make computational decisions. It should kind of not think, but maybe have some algorithms, somehow have some architecture, software architecture. And of course, then it has to act in the real world. So it has to have some actuators, and it should perform some actions in the world. And talking about the benefits, the way I see it, if we combine robots in space exploration, is that there are a lot of tasks that can be automatized and performed by robots, because this is one of the first things that we can do, or the robots are designed to do, is to perform the same task all over and again, to improve it and make some task which is boring done by robots in a more efficient way. I think they are going to be safer. So in the sense that radiation, extreme temperatures, dust storms for humans are a bit dangerous and not so easy to tolerate compared to machine, let's put it this way. And reliable, I would say, if it works, because so far, you know, the more complex the robot is a bit more difficult to be reliable. But I mean, this is technology, so a lot of people are working on that, trying to make them, you know, work much more reliably without problems, without errors. But still, it's a long road. And another advantage is that they can be autonomous. Most of the cases they can perform tasks by themselves, but also another thing is that they can be controlled in case something happens and they need to perform a different task. It can be controlled by a group of people. I would say also they're quite efficient, so they don't get tired. They have energy, of course, they have batteries, but basically they could be working 24/7 for different tasks. So one of the things that nowadays we can see are robots used in exploration, right? So it's something that is being already done. They have been sending tons of rovers. And one of the uses, I think, in the future also in the habitat is that, you know, you can use this type of robots, for example, let me show you, rovers or even now helicopters, and it can be used to, I don't know, to discover the terrain that is close to the habitat or some other locations, maybe look for ice or other sources that are around the environment. And maybe the environment is changing, there are some you know, storms coming, and this is something that maybe could be seen by different robots or, you know, rovers or drones that are around. Another way I see that robots could contribute in building an habitat is by actually building it. So part of the construction. So they have been different challenges. Even NASA posted, I think, Mars 3D printed habitat challenge to gather to gather different ideas to see how we could use robots to automatize the building of the habitat before actually sending humans there. I wanted also to show a small video of some robots I saw, which were quite, let me see if it works, interesting. So basically, yeah, they're using autonomous robots. The point is just a simulation, of course, to use autonomous robots, but they're going to be building, you know, the habitat as getting some ideas from the way that we do it here in on Earth, which is quite interesting, because then it means that we actually can send these robots before humans go there and see if everything goes well and everything is done before actually sending the humans. So another type of robots that exists, they're called a bit service robots, and there are two types. The ones that are fixed, so they are fixed in a point, they cannot move around in the environment. But I see that we could use these ones as a cargo for unloading, loading, I don't know, for example, the rockets. When somebody, a rocket arrives, that is going to be sent with the food before even the humans arrive. So we need some kind of mechanical arm as a Canada arm to bring the cargo, to unload all the boxes and everything, and to store them in a different place, and make this kind of you know, work a bit easy, even if there are not humans or there are humans around. But they also can be used for I don't know, for taking care of the greenhouse. So whenever you have a bigger greenhouse and you need to take care of different tons of plants, and you have the same monotonous task to be, you know, putting water or checking the different leaves, you can easily create this kind of use this kind of robots to you know, water them and check with a camera, with some artificial algorithms, the shape, if they're getting sick, if they need more you know, sun, if they need more water. And this can be done quite efficiently and can be taken care much sooner, before actually a human sees that maybe a plant is getting sick or is dying, because they can be moving all day long, all night long. And of course, another one that we have been discussing yesterday about cooking, because we need to, you know, to be able to have nice different variety of foods, because otherwise people will get a bit sick of eating the same amount of food and the same kind of food. They can be used, you know, as a chef. So to have some pre-programmed dishes, and they can help in the kitchen, or even some of them they have been using nowadays even in bars, which would be help also the part of the socializing of the actual habitat, people living in that habitat. Another type of service robots are the ones that are called the ones that are being actually able to move, that we see them. So the most famous robots I would say nowadays that has succeeded in the market is the Roomba, because it's something that it does only one task, which is cleaning, and it does it really well. So it performs something without, quite reliably. Maybe it doesn't clean so much as we wanted to, but it does its job. So something that is another type of task that we could be using robots in this way would be, cleaning in different, maybe the sanitation, helping around, and making everything a bit more, a bit better for the living of everybody else, because there are tasks that usually people, they don't like to do so much, but they are quite necessary. Another type, and the last type of service robot, which I think is quite important, some people in the DLR, is repairing robots. So robots that can be used to repair and can be used to navigate, to go to locations, and do a job if a person cannot go there. So in this case, this is a robot made from the German aerospace DLR, and they were testing how it could be controlled. Actually, this one was, I think, in this demo was controlled from the ISS. So an astronaut in the ISS was controlling this robot, and it was sent to some of the kind of solar panels to try to change the batteries, to try to open some of the cases, some of the boxes, and try to make a remote repair of the power station, which I think is also quite interesting, because maybe one case, maybe there are still no humans there, maybe the environment is too dangerous to let a human go, maybe it's too far away, distant, and they need you need to fix something as quickly as possible. So you could use this kind of teleoperative robots, or robots that they could do it autonomously to fix a problem that there is. And you can see that it uses the arms, it has some kind of fingers, and also some kind of cameras that you can actually see what is going on from in this case, I think it's a tablet. And the last not topic, but type of robots that I want to go a bit more into details, because it's really my more of my background, are the ones so-called social robots. So social robots are the ones that you can see, and maybe you can see the ones, most of them in the movies, which have some kind of social aspect, either humanoid shape, so a shape of a human, or a shape of an animal. And they're the ones that we may see in most of the also science fiction movies. I want just to say what is a social robot. So social robots are designed by itself to interact with people in human-centric terms, and to operate in a human environment alongside people. So they're meant to be social. They're meant to interact and help the people with all their tasks in a more social way, compared to all the robots that I have shown so far. Many social robots have a human or animal shape, so they also engage in an interpersonal manner, communicating and coordinating their behavior with humans through verbal, non-verbal, or affective modalities. Affective could be, facial expressions, or movements, or behavioral movements. And the two kind of things that they do is they try to make themselves useful, or being able to carry out variety of tasks in order to assist humans. So this is the main purpose, is to assist humans, and try to behave a bit socially, because we're social animals at the end, and we interact with each other in a social manner. So having a robot that can behave in a similar way will reduce, for example, the interaction, will make the interaction a bit smoother, will make the interaction with the robot a bit nicer. So it possesses social skills in order to be able to interact with people in a socially acceptable manner. And maybe you ask yourself why we want them. So we want them, one case we want them is because we can they also can offer companionship. So they have been used here on Earth to offer companionship. Why we need companionship? Maybe so we need companionship because we need to start taking care of mental health. So this is something that a lot of people have neglected over the last years before the pandemic actually started. But after being in this pandemic, we realized, or most of the people realized, that mental health is quite important. And being in a confined environment, even still on Earth, it makes a lot of it produces a lot of mental issues, and is quite difficult for people. So in this case, we go to an extreme environment isolation, because you're not on Earth, you're quite far away. You will still have, even in an habitat in Mars, you will still be in a confined space because you cannot go for a walk outside, right? It's going to be hazardous environment because you have extreme temperatures. You need a spacesuit to go outside. You cannot, it's not so safe as if you go outside now. Still, the social interaction is going to be limited, because you will have some crew members, but they're going to be the same people, and you're not going to have interaction maybe with the ones that you miss most from Earth. And talking about Earth, it's quite remote. So this concept of how does it affect us when we are so far away from the Earth, we still haven't studied so much. We have seen even that it has an effect, quite a big effect for the people who are even in the ISS, which is happening quite around 400 kilometers away from Earth. So basically, if you combine all these environments and this type of things together, it will produce a quite stressful situation, and it can have quite bad mental health issues towards the people. So when you basically end up having tons of problems, right? So you can have problems of stress, sickness, anxiety, depression, fatigue, and all these things are now even happening in the ISS, and is still quite nearby. We can talk with the astronauts in the ISS quite fast. You don't have com delay, but there are things that we have to start looking at them and start finding solutions in order to to foresee and solve problems in the future. So a way that there's some work that I have been doing together with some colleagues is that we need to create a tool. We need to create a tool to escape that feeling of isolation and promote the interpersonal relationship that you have among the crew members, because sometimes they can end up in conflicts. So of course, most of the target would be astronauts or people in this kind of isolated and confined extreme environments, but this also can help not only people on Mars or maybe in the future missions, but that can help people here on Earth. We have all suffered, as we know, the effects of the pandemic, and there is a lot of work that has been doing already done with older adults living in care homes or kids. So the target of this tool would be to improve the well-being, to increase the well-being of the people somehow, and also the team cohesion, because you need, if you have some frictions or you have some misunderstandings with your own team, a lot of things can go wrong in the mission, and a lot of things can go wrong in a habitat. And lastly, so it's nice that there is a way that this tool could help for the people living in these extreme environments, but also it's really important to take care also of the people on living on Earth. And the way that we thought on how to develop this kind of tool or this kind of system would be, divided in few stages. The first one is to collect and integrate individual data. So you have multimodal interactions. You can collect different type of signals from the actual user, in this case from the people, which could be, for example, psychological profiles that can be also based in self-reported questionnaires, as we do. So how you feeling today, as most of the questionnaires that we're filling here in this mission. So to talk about your day, how you perceive it, how you think it is going, some kind of self-analyze yourself. You can collect, psychological signals and physiological ones. So for example, we can think about the heartbeat, we can think about the sweating, we can think about the eye movements and the pupils, and of course you can also get some behavioral data, so understand how the person is interacting in the environment. If they go in they have some kind of routine, maybe in the morning they wake up, they brush their teeth, they go take coffee, and maybe someday something happens and they don't follow that routine. So it's always a nice way to analyze that data and try to have it in individual level. So try to understand for each individual, make it, you know, personalized, understand how they behave to maybe foresee patterns or behaviors that can affect the everyday life. Then the second part would be to process and analyze. So we need to create an adaptive layer. So this system either is going to be a robot or maybe another type of AI system, but that system needs to combine the data, that needs to combine those signals and try to extract some kind of information to detect some specific psychological state and suggest some kind of tasks to do. So in this case, maybe the system would be able to detect that the person is getting bored or is getting anxious, getting stressed, and then it will suggest some kind of experiences. Maybe it will suggest, okay, you should try to do some meditation, some relaxation tasks, or maybe do some sport, because maybe the person that the best way for that person is to relax for them is to do some sports, some running or whatever. Or maybe they are just sad a bit because they miss their friends and beloved ones on Earth. So maybe the system should suggest them to contact them and have some kind of interaction, or send some kind of video to them in order to improve their well-being. So in conclusion, I think we should take a bit of our thoughts towards developing some kind of robots that could help in our journeys in the habitat. So it can bring actually a lot of advantages, and they can perform a lot of tasks that could be monotonous. They are quite safe and reliable if it works. So safe for the astronauts because they can withstand different radiation, they can withstand different changes in temperature, and they're most of the times if they work, they're quite reliable. They are also efficient working without breaks, so it's not going to be, I don't know, maybe at night or maybe having work 1 week. They're not going to be tired. They can continue working. And of course, they can reduce the cognitive load of astronauts, because if the tasks that they perform them well, so the astronaut or the person can focus on something else, to do something else, so they don't have to be taking care of everything. Of course, it's also something that is now known. Talking about viruses, is easy to sanitize. They can, but it's not so easy to transport viruses because they are not alive, right? So it's easy to clean them, you know, to sanitize them in case there is some potential outbreak. And they have also the potential to improve well-being, the well-being of astronauts, trying to, you know, make them think about some kind of meditation, or talking with contacting their beloved ones, trying to relax if in case they need it. So this is all from my side. Thank you for listening. If you have some questions, please let me know or send me an email.